Hello and welcome to Lincolnshire Police Authority's version of Question Time, where we'll be trying to answer questions posed by members of the public during the various engagement events we've held across the county in the summer months, and also questions that have been submitted via our own website. And here to do that are the Chairman of the Police Authority, Mr. Barry Young.
Good morning.
His colleague, Paul Prislak, a member of the authority with special responsibility for communities and partnerships.
Hello.
And on my left is Chief Superintendent Lee Freeman, who is a divisional commander with the police force. And next to him, Peter Steed, who's the force's financial director.
Good morning.
Thank you, gentlemen, for agreeing to join me on this particular programme. And it's the first one that we've recorded since the budget. Since the election. Money is on everyone's mind. So I thought we could probably start with one of the first acts of the new Home Secretary, Theresa May. We're asked, I keep hearing in the papers about police authorities and the government wants to change them. How do they currently represent me and my community, and how will the new system as proposed by Theresa May change this for better or for worse? So if I could start with you, Barry.
We sit down with the Chief Constable and we develop what we call the policing plan, which is, I suppose, what we feel jointly is needed and how we're going to achieve it over the next year initially, and we also come up with a 3-year strategic plan. We set a budget based on that, and then during the course of the year we monitor the performance of the police. We make sure that everything is on track. If it isn't, we have a quiet word in the right ear, or discuss why things are going wrong and what we need to do to put them right. And it's all that kind of thing. The government, in its wisdom, has decided that police authorities are invisible. I'm afraid that I'm a man who believes in substance rather than form, and I'd rather get on with the job than be a superstar. But it is judged that if the police were under the control of one person who was easily identifiable by the public really could make their voice heard. We say, and we're not alone in this, there's an association of police authorities, a national body, we all say, please get real, Home Secretary. One person cannot do the sort of job we're doing now. I mean, for example, here in Lincolnshire we have 17 members. It's a vast county. Our members are a mix of county councillors who represent people from all over the county, and independent members who are recruited for their specialist skills. We have an excellent skill set. We provide what we think is a great service, and we don't think that one person can do that. And in any event, we think that one person, it's dangerous to put that amount of power in the hands of one person. I can say that the government are beginning to listen and beginning to realise just what police authorities do, and we shall have to wait and see whether what emerges is a combination of what they want and what we think is right.
So, Paul, from your perspective, you are, as I said earlier, a special responsibility. You have special responsibility for engagement and communication, for meeting people, in other words, or making sure that the authority takes into account the views of the people. Do you go along with what the chairman's just said, that one person couldn't possibly perform the role that 17 people now perform?
I certainly think that's true, particularly in Lincolnshire. It's a vast, vast county. The problems in the south aren't the problems in the north, and the problems of the east aren't the problems in the west. And one person, and going back on Barry's point, that one person could be dangerous. It could be arguably Lincoln-centric or single-issue-centric, and not to cater for the whole of the county. And I certainly think that the diversity of where we come from, of our backgrounds, actually gives us the opportunity to talk to people in our own neighbourhoods, and and represent their views.
Right, I think it's fair that I've allowed the two members of the authority there to answer that question. That's authority specific. But if I can move on now, another question says, I'm very worried. I hear the government want to take up to 40% of money away from police forces. Does that mean less police? This person says, I never see an officer as it is at the minute. Can I ask you, Lee, what you think about that particular question?
Yeah, I mean, clearly there are a number of budget cuts in the whole public sector which have been advertised and are subject to a great deal of consultation at the moment, and the situation will be a lot clearer post-October once we enter the comprehensive spending review process. The Chief Constable has done a number of interviews on the television and radio where he's made it very clear that the worst case scenario could be that there could be less police officers in Lincolnshire. However, having said that, what is absolutely a commitment from Lincolnshire Police is that we will ensure that that affects the frontline resources of officers on the streets to the absolute minimum. And our commitment to neighbourhood policing in terms of our PCSOs and our neighbourhood police officers remains. And we'll be working very, very closely with our partners and with the authority over the forthcoming months to ensure that once we get the more detail from the government as to how that's going to affect us, then we can implement some plans to make sure that actually won't be the case.
Peter, it must be a headache for you as Financial Director when the government announced from on high this is going to be what you're going to have to cut from your budget.
I can see that is a view which could be taken on it. I mean, the environment is that the government provides us with a degree of the funding that is there. They tell us what is there. Once we know where we are in terms of October, as Lee said, and we know what the challenge is, then we will be able to start to translate that actually into the actions and into the remodelled force that is there. The challenge for us is actually to take that resource to make sure, as Lee says, that we remain focused on frontline. So that is the key. The key is the services that we provide to the public and maintaining and improving those as much as we possibly can.
And do you think, I mean, 40% was mentioned in the question. If it came to 40%, would we be able to provide anything like the policing that we can now, do you think? I know that's partly an operational matter and that, you know, your speciality is finance, but nonetheless it would seem that if someone takes 40% out of a budget, it's going to be very difficult to provide the sort of policing that is necessary in the county. 40%
is mentioned in the question. It isn't actually the number that is being discussed at a national level, and it's how that number breaks down. So numbers being discussed at a national level are around reducing public sector expenditure by 25% over 4 years, so it's a gradual rundown. It also takes into account the amount of inflation that would come into the system. So we may see a number that actually is lower even than 25%, and that would still be an enormous figure for the force to cope with and for the authority to cope with. The issue there is how we plan and we get through that timescale. What do? We have to look at how we remodel. The issue at the moment is about squeezing savings out of the organisation and taking money out, identifying duplication, identifying waste, and taking that money out of the system. The future for us moving forward is trying to see how we can remodel what we do internally. So that's the services that Lee provides as a divisional commander in the south of the county, are the ways that he can work with his other colleagues in the other divisions, in west and in east, and people working out of headquarters to do that better. But also how we can work with other forces and other public bodies to get the most from the money that we have available to us. There will still be large amounts of money flowing into the public sector within the county. The challenge for all of us, police authority, local councils and other bodies, is to make sure that we make the best use of that to provide services.
Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. I think in our next programme we'll probably continue along that line, but for the moment, as I say, thank you, and thank you for watching. If you do have questions to put to the force or the authority, then our website is a very good place to ask those questions. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.